how's it going, everyone? In this video, I'm going to cover buying and setting up your team as a new player on a strict budget. So really for those players out there who really just want to try the game, maybe hop in, earn a few small love potions, have a little bit of fun, that kind of thing. So first off, what we're going to do on the Axie Infinity marketplace is just make sure you're filtering by lowest price. And what we're going to do here is we're going to set up our team into 3 different types of Axies. The first one being your tank Axie. And this Axie is going to be the Axie that tries to absorb the most amount of damage. So we're going to pick an Axie that has 55 hit points or higher. And I'll get into the specifics of kind of what to look for later in the video, but really just want to tell you that the first Axie you're going to look for is your tank. Second off, the second Axie you're going to look for is your utility. And this Axie is going to be the Axie that adds a little bit of strategy to your team, really defines what your team wants to do. So these types of Axies can really be almost any type of Axie. And again, I'm going to get into that later, but it's going to be the Axie that really just meshes with your team the best. The third Axie is a little bit more straightforward. It's going to be your damage dealing Axie, and this Axie is going to be obviously the one who deals most damage. And so what you're going to look for is typically an Axie that is dealing damage with moves that are about 100 damage or more. Alright, so with that being said, let me show you a quick visual of what your team setup in the game is going to look like. So that way when you're purchasing your first Axies, you kind of have a quick visual of what things are going to look like. Okay, so this is your basic setup of how an arena team is going to look, and this can even transfer over into arena mode. So first off, I mentioned I mentioned the tank, the damage dealer, and the utility. So typically you're going to pick a high hit points based tank. I would say something 55 HP and higher, and it's typically going to be a plant, a reptile, or an aquatic Axie. Next up is utility. Utility can really be anything, and with utility you're looking for a nice spread of just different moves that you can adapt within the game. So here we have a aquatic Axie that has double talk, and it has Shoal Star and Sponge. And so it's not as straightforward as this beast that we have in the back, but it gives us a little bit of more strategy that we can use. And again, this is also going to transfer over into adventure mode. And in the back here, we're going to have our damage dealer. Your damage dealer is what you're really going to focus on to obviously do most of your damage and be consistent with that. He wants to, you're going to want him here in the back because you want him to get enough cards, to accrue enough cards to be constantly doing damage. And so this setup is really going to set you up for success. So what I want you to do is I want you to filter by lowest price. Since you're on a budget, I want you to filter by lowest price. And what we're going to look for first is our tank. So you're going to go plant, reptile, aquatic, and this is the filter on the left. So plant, aquatic, reptile, stats, search for 55 HP to 61. Okay? And then now we're going to start seeing a spread of different type of tanks for you. And so click through these. Typically you're going to want to pick a plant that has the highest HP, but if it has a lower HP, sometimes aquatic tanks have lower HP, reptile tanks have lower HP. Don't worry about that too much. What you're going to look for are tanks that have high defensive types of moves, and this is what this means. This one has the Vine Dagger, has the Cattail, and it has the Herbivore. All very good tank moves. That could be a candidate for you. This one over here. And so what you're going to do is you're just going to filter through these. You're going to look for high HP Axies with good defensive moves. Right here, this one has 1 breed. We'll go into breeds in a little bit. And obviously you're in a budget, so I'm not going to go over 0.025. I've seen a couple already that I like. This one would be a great starting Axie for a new player. For about $5, you're going to get something 57 HP. Very, very good. It's going to have the Sirius. It's going to have the Hot Butt, which is a great tank move. Hermit, a great tank move. This one pretty decent as well. So yeah, I would actually probably go with this one as a new player. And so that's all you're going to do. You're just going to filter on the left here, plant, aquatic, reptile, 55 HP and higher. And you can really just pick ones that have high defensive types of moves. These ones here are listed. And you want to avoid kind of moves that have low defense on the tank. So this one provides 0-0, heals front teammate for 150 HP. So it doesn't really do anything. You want to avoid those types of moves. This one, Wall Gecko is an exception, but typically that's what you want to do to pick your tank. I hope that kind of helped you guys out with the whole tank scenario and on picking your tank. What I want you to do next is pick your damage dealing Axie. And so what we're going to do is we're going to scroll through some of these Axies, and we're going to pick moves that are mostly 100 damage and over. So I already see a good candidate right off the bat, and it's actually the cheapest one on the market, and that's this Beast Axie. So look at these moves. This Pocky deals 10% additional damage for each allied bug Axie. So maybe we can try and get a low costing bug Axie to be our utility. And so you try and add all these things up, and it really gets into a kind of fun dynamic where you're trying to form your first team, but you're not even spending that much money. I mean, it's actually kind of a fun process. I see another one right here that would be a good candidate. It's got two very good damage dealing moves, and then it's got the Imp here as well. So just scroll through, and I would just recommend choosing Axies that have a lot of moves that are about 100 damage and over for your damage dealing Axie for new players. Okay, next up is going to be our utility Axie. And this Axie could really be anything. It's going to be an Axie that has a wide spread of different moves, something that might be a good defensive move, and something that might be a good offensive move. I would say about 50-50. So, how are we going to pick this? So, well, you picked our damage dealer. We had two good candidates, and we said, you know what, look, this one with the Pocky, it needs a bug for 10 additional damage for Pocky. So let's see if there's any good bugs on the market. So again, lowest price, make sure we're going lowest price. And we got a lot of bugs at 0.02. So this is something to kind of look at. So I'm not going to go higher than 0.025 for a new player, but let's look and see what's available. And again, it's going to be just a wide spread of different moves, something that you think might be beneficial to your team. So I already see a few here that are good candidates. Let's see. Okay, I'm only going up to 0.025 like I said. Actually, I see a really good one. Okay, so we have a lot of good candidates here. This one here, we're going to kind of X out. We see the green thorns. There's no plant to go with this, so I recommend really just kind of reading the cards, you know, seeing if they kind of mix together. So obviously as a new player, you would read this and say double shield from this card when played with the plant card. Well, there's no plant card on here, so we're going to go ahead and X this card out. It doesn't really have too much synergy. Here's a good candidate. We have something. It has the Goldfish, Nutcracker, has a wide spread of kind of different zero costing moves. This is probably the best one in my opinion. It's got the Terror Chomp, Buzz. It's got a lot of wide spread different types of moves. This one's great as well. So yeah, now all of a sudden we are forming our team. You know, it's like, okay, now we got our damage dealer. Now we have our two good bugs. And so here we don't, with Terror Bunny, we don't really have a fear for our beast here. We don't have another bug move on our beast, so it doesn't really synergize. So our next best option is going to be this bug here. And so now we formed our team. For, let's see, our tank was about 0.02, damage dealer was 0.02, and now we have our bug for 0.025, which is a grand total of 0.065. So now you just purchased your team for about $13 to $15. And I'm going to show you what gas looks like here. So let me go ahead and log in with MetaMask. Let's go ahead and connect that. And we're going to go here, buy. And so yeah, you're going to spend about $1 more on gas, it seems. So this about $5. So we're probably going to spend about $15 on our first team. All right, and that's that. All of a sudden we have kind of formed our team. We've got our tank, we've got our utility, and we have got our damage dealer. All below 0.025. You're going to spend about $15 on this team, maybe slightly more with gas. And this is going to let you enjoy not only arena, but adventure mode as well. And yeah, you've basically set yourself up for success from the start. This is the biggest mistake I see new players doing, is not picking the right Axies, just kind of buying random Axies and not enjoying the game, or feeling like they're kind of held behind because they didn't really have enough information when they first started. So I hope this helped you. For all of you new players out there who are really on a budget, this next video I'm going to go into kind of the next tier of a new player who really wants to start things off right on the Axies they purchase, and they have a kind of a little higher amount of ETH that they can use to purchase Axies. So thank you for tuning into this. I hope you learned something, and see you in the next video.